Welcome to the Disrupt Now podcast. This is Natalie Viglione, your host, and this is Season 2, Unlocking the Cosmic Mysteries Around New Earth Magic. My desire is to bring conversations that serve as cosmic medicine for all of the sacred souls that seek the revealing of the magic and mystery of the organic celestial energies. I powerfully step in as a sacred vessel for the Cosmic Mother, or as we can say, the divine feminine energy rising. I walk an authentic druidic path of primordial tradition, and I am here to share wisdom and the highest truth for the betterment of all beings, animals, minerals, plant life, and all that is. Please join me on this journey to explore and awaken the magic again. Welcome to another podcast episode. I'm Natalie Viglione, the host, and so on today's show, I'm going to be introducing you to Nate Zeleznick, and I'm just going to give you his background right now, and then I'm going to share a few things before we dive in. So he's uniquely recognized as one of 2 American master trainers in an ancient Indonesian energy and martial arts system that he blends with cutting-edge practices. He calls it his Integrated Ascension Method, or for short, IM, and White Dove Method. Now, he's been hosted on shows that have been held on within Netflix, Gaia.com, and Amazon Prime, and his work has been validated by multidisciplinary experts. And what it has done is it's positioned him as a transformative leader in harnessing extraordinary human potential. And he seeks to guide global holistic wellness. And so we'll be diving into his background and journey, but let me talk about Java, Indonesia for a moment. This is the area that I'm talking about. This is I'm going to give a longer background before we dive into the interview. And I mentioned this very briefly in the interview. I was guided into finding there's this shaman who really has done a lot of training all over the world in many different places. He has some interesting things that he has gleaned from his travels, and he actually did train in Java. And he explored that location. He was there, and he trained with some persons not only there, but then he also in Hawaii. Now, here's the interesting connection. So from Aziz's insights about Java, he says, when Egypt was invaded by the Greeks and Romans, 11 of the magical tribes left and went overseas. The 12th tribe remained in Africa and became the Berbers. The other 11 tribes first settled in Java, and then they later moved on to Hawaii, where they became the Kahunas. And their pronunciation of Hawaii is actually Hawaii, which means Little Java. And Java has kept up a powerful magical tradition, and more recently it's largely Islamic, but even that has been adopted to reclaim more of the ancient Egyptian knowledge. So that's from Aziz Shamanism and some of his insights and findings that he spent there in Java. So I was doing research, then I dug into Java and research on ancient martial arts practices and energy work. And as I was reading about Java in that location in Indonesia, and it has a lot of magical lore around it, and that's when Nate had reached out to my team and asked to be on the podcast. And so then I was reading about his work, and it connects into Java, Indonesia as well. Nate was actually trained in what he calls the light magic of Java, which is known as Merpati Putih, and that means white dove in English. And we're of course going to explore all of that. But that is my cosmic friends of how the universe works, right? Ask and you shall receive. Let me give a little precursor before we dive in. So the white dove method, what I have come to understand about this is that it's an energy art, and it combines meditation, but like long secret modes of meditation, breathwork, energy arts, healing, and then extrasensory perception. and it's meant to unleash the potential of human, which is far more than, of course, that we can even understand at this point, but all of these rememberings are coming back. And it's about tapping into primordial magic. And this Merpati Putih, the white dove method, has been around for over 500 years and is an ancient royal martial arts tradition. It has been passed down through 12 generations of masters within the Javanese royal family. So it goes from the king to the heirs. And over time, of course, that has been refined. And what the point of it is to build inner power faster than any other method known. So Nate and the other person in the United States is bringing that here, and has been actually for decades, as you'll hear in the episode. But I want to mention one thing. My husband and I were watching the cartoon series Avatar, and we love it. We come back to it quite frequently because it's done so well. And I was looking at it and thinking, you know, as they're doing their airbending, waterbending, firebending, etc., what they're actually doing is it's basically martial arts moves. It's Tai Chi moves, Qigong moves, all of these martial styled arts. And I was like, that's actually what those movements were for originally. And we were able to work with the elements directly, and actually the elements can answer to the magical ones that can work with the elements using the framework of these practices. And it's very interesting because we actually are going to talk about that in this interview. And so it actually is alive and well, and something that any of us can learn to do. That's an interesting note. Now, as usual, use your own discernment, but if you feel called to work with Nate, we do have a discount code. We mention it at the end of the podcast, so stick around for that. And now let's dive into the interview. So I hope you get some cosmic medicine for your sacred soul and enjoy this episode. Welcome back to another New Earth Magic episode, season 2 of the Disrupt Now podcast. I'm Natalie Viglione, your host, and today, as mentioned in the intro, we have Nate, and I am so excited to talk to you about magic and breath and all kinds of things today.
Thank you, Natalie. It's a pleasure to be here, and hello to everyone out there listening or watching.
Yeah. All right. So we have a lot to meander through in this time together. So let's go on this magical journey. And I just want to share a quick story. So when Nate's team reached out to us about being on the show, obviously when I did a little research, I was like, yeah, let's do this. This is like right up our alley of all the good things that are coming online in bigger ways in this world. This is truly what we can say is the quote unquote New Earth magic. So, but what's happening is the more synchronicities and rapid ways of connections of frequencies is happening, even I'm noticing in my own existence. It's so fast and rapid, it's insane. So the night before, I was reading about Javanese magic through a shaman that I've connected with, and how there's elements in all magic workings that are used, can be used for the good and used for what we could say the negative or harm or ill intent. And these are just ways to use these tools in which we have. And then the next day got the messages from Nate and Emily on my team forwarded, and it mentioned in their Javanese. I was like, what is going on? So clearly this is an exploration I needed to go on, but you came into my field just as I was reading and learning more and absorbing more into this. So that's pretty cool, right?
It's beautiful how that happens. Everything in good time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
perfect
as long as
timing.
we pay attention, the synchronicities are always all around us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's just, it's quite crazy when, it's this fast and it comes in as quickly as it did. So I'm really excited to talk about everything that we'll be talking about today. So let's dive into, the white dove method is really what we're going to be wrapping around today. But what I would like to is rewind, and let's talk about the journey for you to even have found a Javanese royal family to work with, to be with. I mean, you don't just wake up one day and be like, I need to go into the Java area and I need to, I mean, this is not really how things happen. So let's talk about that journey, because I think that alone was truly magical for your purpose of all that is.
So like so many people, my life has been one synchrodestiny after another. And to go back to where this started, growing up here in Utah, very small town, people who know about Utah know that there is a very strong, predominant religious influence here. And growing up as the only child in my entire grade that was not of this religion, being the smallest, being an easy target, I was subjected to a lot of bullying, like on a daily basis, physically and mentally and emotionally. And this is back in the 70s and the 80s when boys will be boys, just let them handle it. There was no protection by the administration. I mean, I even had scout leaders, like their wives tell me I was going to hell because I didn't go to church. That kind of stuff. You know, as a child, this is very hard. And so around the age of 11, I became quite suicidal. And that's what led me on my spiritual journey. So around the age of 12, if you could just imagine, and I'm sure many people out there who are listening or watching this can, imagine you're this child that feels safe nowhere. And one night you go to bed and you're laying on your back and you're breathing deeply and you're really wishing you would die. And then your body becomes extremely heavy, like you're wearing a 100-pound weighted blanket on top of you. And then you feel this vibration throughout your whole body. And next thing you know, you feel expansion. Like, wow, I don't have the thick, heavy, slowed down, confined body anymore. And you raise up out of your body and you feel yourself floating. And you think you're dreaming, but you're still awake. And then rolling over and seeing your body there below you and hoping you're dead. And then snapping back into your body and realizing, oh, what the hell just happened to me? Now, that was my first introduction to astral travel and the out-of-body state. It started happening more and more. And I really credit my higher being with saving my physical life, because I didn't really want to be on the planet. It was a really painful time for me, from about the age of 5 till about age 17. So this was, I think, a defense mechanism for my soul to say, listen, you have bigger things to do on this planet. You just stay. It's going to be better. It's going to be okay. And they kept happening. So around the age of 16, when I could actually get a job, had a driver's license, the very first thing I ever bought with my own money was a book called Journeys Out of the Body by Robert Monroe, which went essential work on out-of-body travel. Now, I'd always been involved or interested in martial arts. Ever since I saw ninja movies in the 80s and I saw Star Wars, I wanted to be a ninja and a Jedi, or a ninjedi.
Yes.
But in a small town, the only place I could practice martial arts was on my brothers, and they did not appreciate that. Well, when I could finally drive, I joined a dojo, and it was a strip mall martial art. And I studied numerous martial arts throughout college, but none of them have an internal component at all. And that was the part where I really felt was lacking. And so when I was 23, I ordered a course out of Black Belt magazine that guaranteed me inner power in 2 weeks, or I get my money back. And so, come on, I'm American. I want instant chi. I don't want to go through the McDonald's drive-through. I don't want to have to like go and mill the wheat to make the bread and go harvest the potatoes to make the fries. I want this now. And so, of course, you get what you pay for. So it came with a chintzy little manual about this thick, and it was completely BS. But it came with a VHS tape that was extremely inspiring, and it showed Indonesian martial arts. And this was a documentary. So it showed many martial arts throughout the Indonesian archipelago. I'd never seen anything like this, Natalie. And the movements were beautiful, graceful, deadly. They were doing a lot of superhuman feats, breaking things like steel bars, stone, feet and feet and feet of ice, and 20 feet of bricks. I mean, it's just insane.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty cool. After being in martial arts for a long time, I'd broken some boards and some bricks, and it was always anger-based, but these people were all smiling, having a great time. So I thought that was unique. But when I saw people who were doing literally the impossible, and by impossible, I mean, imagine, if you will, seeing a video of people who were blindfolded or blind, and they are able to do anything that you or I can do, and more. So these are things like driving cars through traffic in Jakarta, which anybody who's ever been to Asia and tried to drive there or even seen the traffic realize, no, you don't do that. Unless you grow up there, you don't try to do that. Well, you can. Death wish for some people have. That's what Asian traffic's like for us who have, traffic signals and have a different lay of the land and different rules of the road here. Well, these people were able to do things like that, but also military people who were shooting targets out of people's hands where they're wearing a hood and a blindfold. And then it showed blind people who could literally see. They could read printed material, even though their eyes were as white as a sheet. And I thought it had to be a trick. I didn't think... I grew up in a very scientific-minded household. There's no religion, no faith-based anything. But, I've had these non-physical, these non-local functions of consciousness, like out-of-body experiences or remote viewing. And I'd studied enough about it that I was like, maybe Jedis are really real. And so the next day, you want to talk about synchrodestinies. Here you go. I see this, and I watched the video a couple times. The next day, I watched a blind woman almost get killed in front of me. Oh. She's trying to cross the road with her dog, and the dog led her face first into the light pole. And I'm stopped at the light, and she's about 5 or 6 feet off of my bumper. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to find those Indonesian people and see if they can help her.
Yep.
And I never met a blind person. I had no connection to the blind community. It was a spiritual command. And so the next day I went to the local library because I didn't want to use my dial-up internet. They had like 1 megabyte per second. I was excited. That's high speed.
Exactly.
In those days it was.
It was.
Right? And so I found them. It took 2 weeks. And about the same time I saw that woman is almost to the day when they launched their first website. Another coincidence? I think not.
Right.
And so I reached out. I finally was able to find somebody there who spoke English. And I sponsored the very first demonstration of this art, which is called Merpati Putih, which in Indonesian means white dove. Anybody in Indonesia, they know what this is. It's kind of like if you say baseball here. Not everybody's played baseball, but everybody knows what this is. Now, interesting thing about Merpati Putih is at that time, it was the 3rd largest single martial art in the world that nobody had ever heard of because it was forbidden to train non-Indonesian people for 450 years plus until me. So when I brought them over here and they saw what I was willing to do to help them bring Merpati Putih to the world, that was their motto, Merpati Putih for the world. Well, the royal family of Java decided, oh, excuse me, I don't think it was a decision. I think what they did is all of our higher selves got together and we had this council before any of us got here that I would take this on and I would help promote them. And they said, Nate, you're going to be the first non-Indonesian person we've allowed to learn this. And there just so happened, another coincidence, of 3 people in the whole United States who were a certified level that could train me. One of them just happened to live 35 miles away in Salt Lake City.
Oh.
Just happened to. And
right.
So I started training with him the next week after they left, after we had, we did demonstrations all over the country, including for the Indonesian ambassador and the people in the Indonesian embassy in Washington, D.C. So, I mean, I'm living the high life. I'm 23 years old, rubbing shoulders with foreign dignitaries. That's pretty awesome. And then they allowed me to start training. And I have to say, that was, if you could just imagine wanting something your whole life so much, and then you get the opportunity to do it, and the fear that comes over you, like, oh shit, I wasn't talking about that. Not really, for really reals. You want me to spearhead this entire art for North and South America? Just me? Okay. I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. It wasn't an option. I had to.
Yeah.
And so I started training. And several weeks later, one of my younger brothers joined me. And about a year after we started training on a very advanced, very aggressive training schedule, because our trainer was a former special forces trainer for Merpati Putih in Indonesia. He trained the most elite special forces in this breath work, which it's used in every branch of the Indonesian military because it's so effective in creating rapid change, just even on a physical level for people, that things like stamina, endurance, stress relief, the ability to think under pressure, those go through the roof just from the training itself. That he didn't want us to learn, though. And he's like, well, hey, if they quit, it's not my fault. So he literally tried to kill us. I'm not joking. And so we obviously, as you can tell, I kept going and we kept doing this. And then a year later, we brought both of the 11th generation heirs that were still alive at that time. Well, obviously, we brought them to Utah, and they personally tested us. They initiated us. They inaugurated us as the very first outside branch of Merpati Putih. And there were thousands in Indonesia at this time, only one outside. And there are only a few still to this day. Now, for 20 plus years, we owned one of the largest martial arts and meditation academies in the country. And then COVID came along, and like over half the martial arts schools in the US, over 7,800 of us were forced to pivot into a different lifestyle. And we had to close our school like many did. And that's just, we don't even remember the pandemic and the whole thing. Everybody had to change. Well, we pivoted hard into teaching the blindfolded skill in a seminar workshop format. And so this is something where very few people are able to actually develop that particular skill. But what's neat about the white dove method, which my integrated ascension method takes it to another level, but the white dove method or the Merpati Putih method, it's unique in the fact that it doesn't conflict with any religious or spiritual belief system. It works for atheists as well as devoted religious zealots, or people who are just non-denominational spiritualists. It will work for you if you have a body to some extent, and you'll notice the physical benefits right off the bat. But when it comes down to the psi aspects, things like seeing without your eyes, hearing from a distance, remote viewing, remote healing, healing in person, things like this, to develop this with something that doesn't conflict with your belief structures, and you can feel progress on a very regular basis, and it's not belief-based. It's not. Right. It's based upon experience. And like I said, as long as you have a body, you'll have an experience. If you don't, I can't really help you in this regard. And that's okay. You don't need this. All right. Because when it comes down to this, this is a type of magic where if you think about magic being, say, the alliance with natural forces, or in Java and all throughout Indonesia, there are more forms of black magic, demonology than the entire world combined times 1,000. It's nuts how much people make, we'll say, agreements with things that, well, every piper gets paid, put it that way. But Merpati Putih stood alone when it was released because it is what you would call white magic. It's based upon our divine connection. It's based upon our personal efforts. It's based upon these very specific techniques that really electrify our body and increase the voltage in every one of our cells naturally through breath, through tension, through full body mudras, which are ways of moving the body to align the different circuitry. Very specific meditations based upon breath work, and also through focus of attention, because we are all infinite, unlimited, eternal creators, and we are consciousness. The body is the illusion. Our consciousness extends to every part of the universe. And we're starting to understand that more and more. And so Merpati Putih is really based upon the science of vibration, the science of breath, and the science of human potential. And when it comes down to it, honestly, Natalie, the sky's the limit. I don't even think the sky is the limit. If you think about this, the ancient Egyptians said we have 360 senses, not 5. So what did they know 6,000 years ago that we've forgotten? A whole lot. Of course. We have things that they didn't have as well. But the thing is, when it comes to the human instrument, doesn't matter how amazing AI gets, nothing will ever eclipse HI, which is human intelligence, because it's truly infinite. The illusion that we've been sold by religion, by media, by society, by our family, by our friends, and even by our own observations, is that we're in any way limited.
Right.
So that's what the out-of-body experience has really helped me understand, is the unlimited nature of us. And of course, do I still have my limitations? Of course, I'm human. I stub my toe and I say words that they're not PG-13. Because you know what? Even though physical matter is not real according to physics and science, but what we understand through physics is that there is no matter. Everything is frequency, information, or vibration. Tesla knew this. Einstein knew this. But wow, when you slam your finger in a car door, it sure feels real. When your heart's breaking because someone left you, or if you lost a family member, it sure feels real. If you got a terminal diagnosis from your doctor, it sure feels real. And that's why I think it's so important for people to ask these couple questions based upon a couple of very tried and true truths that you cannot dispute. It doesn't matter what your belief structure is. These are truths. We're having an experience. You can't shut it off, and it's ongoing. You're going to have it. You can't not experience. So we get these opportunities to ask a question or two. First of all, what do I want to experience now? What is my preference? And the second thing is, how is this lesson for me? Because when it comes down to it, we have every single thing that ever happens to us, we have created. We have brought that in so that we can learn to make a different choice. And our soul line is different than our gold line. It's so much more than we can even fathom in our body, in our conceptualization as a being. And no matter how enlightened someone gets, the soul is so much larger. And so that's what Merpati Putih really focuses on, is how can we be the very best humans we can be? How can we be in touch with nature and our daily environment? How can we sense the vibrations of matter and also the non-physical around us using all these amazing antennae that are inside of our body that we just don't tap into? Merpati Putih, the White Dove method, the integrated ascension method, has a reliable way to do that.
That's awesome. That's quite a journey.
It is. And it's ongoing, and I can't shut it off.
Exactly. And that's how it is when you're on the what we call the ascension pathway. It's unlimited, truly, because it is truly unlimited. And the aspects that you're talking about, first of all, I think that what's magical about this is, this listening to yourself when you're, because many of us, whether you call yourself a starseed or an indigo or a both or a cosmic wanderer or whatever that it might resonate with the human, all of us that come in this incarnation with a true mission, I call it a sacred mission, you are aligning with that from a young age. And most of us have very interesting / intriguing / challenging youth experiences. And so, what I think part of your story that's so magical is, as difficult as that all was, awakening so quickly, because, I've had similar experiences in mine path, and many that are listening as well, that, you listen and you're going to be taking this non-mainstream, non-conventional path that is riddled with its own difficulties just because you're choosing the path that is against the mainstream. It's against this narrative of saying you're weak because you're human, right? Obviously, we know otherwise.
To that end, so many people want to attain enlightenment, and that's a beautiful thing. So the way that Buddha put it is, he said on his spiritual ascension path toward enlightenment, it felt like his arms and legs were being ripped off of his body. It was that painful.
Yeah, right.
This ascension path is, honestly, it's a lot more than just reading books or doing some meditations. You have to go within yourself. All the magic in the world doesn't matter if you're still living from a place of ego and limitation. Yeah. So to face your shadows, to realize they're part of you, not to cover them up, not to try to get rid of them, but just to accept them, that, you know what, you are a human being. And a lot of times a human doing, but when it comes down to it, we came here to have a physical experience as an energy. And that's what we are. We're an energy that has a body. And we are infinite, unlimited, eternal being. We are not a human on the grandest scale. After having a near-death experience in 2007, hundreds of out-of-body experiences and doing my research from everything I could ever get my hands on these subjects, and listening to the sages, what they all have said, that there is no you. There is only we. And we are all the same being. And that includes the Pleiadians, that includes the Greys, that includes every single one of the trillions of, I can't even fathom how many atoms are in the entire universe. That we are the one. We are the center of everything. We are the creator. But we get this opportunity to have an individuated experience while we're here on the planet so that we can have this Earth school teach us what it's like to feel cold, what it's like to feel hate, what it's like to feel love. And I ask people this quite often. And I got this from a book called Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. Beautiful book. If you have never read it, it says right on the cover, it's a book that changes lives, and it's absolutely true. It's a beautiful story. In there, one of the people asks Dan, and I ask myself this, and I ask you this, everybody listening, are you paying attention? There's also a couple interesting things that I gleaned from that book as well that helped me bring myself back into conscious presence and awareness right now. The first one is asking the question, what time is it? Because no matter what, it's not about the hands on a clock. The time is always now. The second question is, where are you? And in the book, the wise sage named Socrates asks Dan, the hero of the story, he asks him, Dan, where are you? And he says, well, I'm in this gas station. Okay, where's the gas station? It's in Berkeley, California. Where's California? It's on the Earth. Where's the Earth? It's in the solar system. Where's the solar system? In the galaxy. Where's the galaxy? In the universe. He's like, no, you don't get it. When I ask you, where are you? The answer, no matter what, is always here. Like to say, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah.
And it's true. And so much of the time, and I have this too, everybody does. The Dalai Lama does. The most enlightened sages still go unconscious, and they have to bring themselves back to presence many times a day. That if we just remember those couple questions, what time is it? Where am I? Just those two questions. It's amazing what happens to bring you back into the present moment. And there's also a mentor of mine. He doesn't know me, but I love his work. He's one of the most profound authors that I've seen, where limitation, there is no limitation. His name's Brian Ridgway, and his company is called Level 5 Mentoring. This man is absolutely genius. And his method is very simple, and anybody can use it to bring themselves into divine presence at any given time, 1,000 times a day, because we all go unconscious. As we know, 95% of our time every day, at least, is spent running pre-programmed actions and thoughts that we're only conscious and aware about 5% of the time. But imagine if you could get that to 15% of the time. How amazing would that be? His work does that. My work does that. And when it comes down to it, that is the greatest magic, is to be present, be here, and be experiencing and learning, because that's why we came here.
Yep. The living light library that it used to be at one time, but that's changing and shifting. And I call this the eternal now. So snapping back, that is the cosmic medicine. And so a question for you, let's dig into a couple of things. I know that you want to give us an example today, so we can do that towards the end. But I was wondering, so Merpati Putih was guarded for, as you said, 400, 500 years, somewhere in that range. Why is that?
So this is an interesting thing. So Merpati Putih is, at its core, a martial art. So if you can imagine this, the Javanese kings, unlike the European kings, they did not lead from a castle. They did not lead from the archers in the back. They led from the front. They were the first into battle, and this is bladed combat with blades that have poison on them. So if you did not have the very best, A, martial arts, B, energy development, and 3, like situational awareness, you're dead. And what happens in chess if you kill the king? Game over, man. So that's why the Javanese king, Prabu Amangkurat was his name, in the Mataram dynasty. He went to, from what the legends are, he went to India and came back with this amazing breath work. And it's pretty obvious from training in the Merpati Putih system for so long that it's a combination of Kundalini yoga, pranayama yoga and kriya yoga. And then if you took those things, combined them, they had an amazing, interesting love child. And then you put a jetpack on it.
Mm.
It's nuts. There's nothing like Merpati Putih. It truly stands alone in the world of breath work. It does. People are like, what's it like? And I'm like, it's like trying to explain to somebody what a strawberry is like if they've never had it. Like, you have to eat a strawberry and then you'll know, because it's not like a banana. It's like an apple. It's not like an orange. Those are also fruits, but it's not one of those. So it's unique. Does it mean it's better? No. It's different, though. So it was developed originally in order for the king and his heirs to have the ultimate energy and a fighting art, so that they would continue to keep their castle and keep their kingdom.
Interesting.
Yeah.
As that usually goes.
It's been adapted for a more peaceful use.
Right. Well, I think, from my perspective, we have to really truly become sacred warriors again to protect our energy, to really meander through this world that has truly been in many ways hijacked to keep us small.
Yes, correct.
So without going into all of that, because that's a whole other episode in and of itself, of which I talk about a lot. Anyway, this is really bringing the enlightenment back. This is primordial wisdom that was always known. And so we're just igniting it back into the realm again. So it's beautiful that you and, just a few others are bringing that through here. From your perspective, given that you have tried many martial arts, and, there's many obvious Jedis that we're being trained in many different modalities, but what is the most magnificent, unbelievable, crazy awesomeness that you've experienced when you started training in it in depth and were almost killed by the trainer? Because obviously you were getting taken on a bit of a more difficult journey just to prove that you could do it, right? So
first of all, seeing blind people be fully functional beyond what a sighted person can do, that one really took the cake, because I have always, since a young age, known that I'm more than a physical body, and we have the ability to perceive outside our body. But to see like a real-time remote viewing right there for people who are blind, that's freaking incredible. You can't fake that, especially when I put a blindfold on them anyway, just to make sure. Now, there's that. Now, if you want to talk about fantastical, I'm going to take you on a journey to Central Java. The very first time I went, my brother and I went over to Java in 2005 to do our first test. We're the non-Indonesian people. We're not testing at the normal time. There's only one time in the year in one place in the whole world that Merpati Putih members who are senior trainers can go to advance in rank. They called in the Master Council to test us personally, just the two of us. Now, the night before, and we had a Discovery Channel crew following us, and unfortunately, the documentary never got made, but we had a camera crew following us everywhere except for to the bathroom. It was a little annoying, but the 11th generation royal heir who was still alive at that time, his name was Mas, which means Mr. Mas Pung. Now, he was the eldest of the brothers that had this handed down. And he took us out onto this amazing iron sand beach where he had learned Merpati Putih from his father and trained. And this is the largest iron sand beach in the world. So you're going to feel the electricity coming through. It's just, your hair stands up. You take a magnet over it, the sand, it's iron, so it sticks to it. It's pretty amazing. Well, we're there in the middle of the night, and we're standing there looking at the Indian Ocean, and the waves are maybe 150 feet away, but that's the highest they're going. And we're like, okay, what are we doing out here? And the chairman of Merpati Putih looked and he said, Mas Pung is going to call the waves. And we're like, what? And here's this, big light on him and camera on him, and he kneels down and he puts his fingers into the sand, and it's dry sand. And we're a long way away from the waves. And next thing you know, this water comes rushing past up, like halfway up our legs, like halfway up to our knees. And we're in dress clothes. We just got back from a freaking wedding they took us to. And here's all, first day we're there, of course, my new dress shoes covered in salt water. And the thing is that we're like, what the? fill in the blank just happened right here. And then he did it again, and he did it again. And the thing is that I stepped back out of it onto dry sand, just step sideways. And he had called the wave right up the beach in a funnel to us, and everything was dry. It was a full moon, so you could see up and down the beach. It was dry, wet. And we're just like, so he did that not to show off. He did that in order to prove to us, yes, Merpati Putih is real. These things are possible. Keep training hard. Don't give up. And that was a very important thing for us to learn, because Merpati Putih tests are, I don't know of another martial arts test in the world that is as hard or as dangerous. Many people have died, including myself. And that was in 2007, and I came back to life. Their tests are no joke. So he was giving us spirit by showing that, and then also documenting it for the Discovery Channel documentary. So I do have some footage of it, and it's pretty amazing. So that, yeah, I would say that. That's
a good example. I'm liking that one. Actually, you know, this is so interesting, because the more that we have delved into the arts that, you know, have obviously changed over many, many thousands of years, but you delve into Qigong, you delve into Tai Chi, you delve into all these arts, right? One night we were watching Avatar, which the cartoon on Nickelodeon is still by far the best. Anyway, I was like, oh my God. It was always meant to be working with the elements in this exact way.
Mm-hmm.
That is the true magic. That is the true magic. That is the true magic that's actually been lost. So the arts weren't, until such time necessary, working in a sacred warrior way, because there was at one point not a necessary warrior to be there. You know, there wasn't anything to protect. There was working with energies and working with these elements. And that was just a weird realization. So that now that you said that, I was like, obviously, yes, this is true. And that is amazing. Yeah. That would blow you away. But then you said that you had technically, and I mean, you've had several near-death experiences. Yes. So let's talk about this one in 2007. This is actually in training that this happened.
Even better. It's during the national test where the seniors who were ready, the senior trainers who were ready to be tested and had received approval, descended upon Yogyakarta in Indonesia, Central Java, which is the southernmost point of Java, to a very specific beach, the one that he called the waves on. And the thing about the test for Merpati Putih is, anybody who's been to Java knows it's really hot. Anybody who's ever been to a big black iron sand beach in Java knows that the only place hotter is probably hell itself. Or stepping onto a lava field. It is nuts. So we test all night. So we start off with a written test, which takes a couple hours. Then we rest a little bit, and then we go on to this huge field that during the daytime, all the day, they just graze cattle. So we have to deal with landmines too. But they bring in these humongous generators to power these standing lights, because this is like 2 football fields full of different people testing and different testing obstacle courses and things like that. So they bring in these big generators, and they're not, put it this way, they don't have emission standards like we have. So it just blows. If you've ever seen one of those people with the big Ram trucks who like to stomp on the gas and it blows out black smoke, now imagine that's just constantly there. Now, if you can imagine being me and you're blindfolded, because everybody does their movement test blindfolded the whole time for about 4 hours, and being stuck right next to that with that black smoke blowing in your face. I was very sick for the whole thing. I could barely stand up, very wobbly, fell down a lot. They picked me back up there. Go. At the end, I'm standing there, and I'm like, thank God it's done. And I watched my body crumple. So having had out-of-body experiences before, and many, many times, I just went, oh, shit. I knew what happened. I was like, I knew shouldn't have been next to this generator. I knew what had happened. carbon monoxide, and I had left my body. And they dragged me off the training grounds, leading me up against a tree. My brother and my trainer, they were yelling, "Come back, man, come back, man." And medics were running. And then my trainer, a very powerful chi master, he put his hands on my chest and he pushed energy into me. And I was standing there, and I remember being aware, do I want to go back? I know it feels so good right here. I'm going to go back into this pain. I can't leave my brother here, and I'm not done with my mission. So I chose to come back. 10 minutes later, they handed me my sparring gear, said, put it on, fighting. And I had to go into full contact, bare knuckle fighting match. Then the vibrational skill, where they blindfold you and send you through an obstacle course. And I happened to actually score the best out of anybody in the entire test because I wasn't in my body. After that, I really struggled to do it again after that. But for that one moment, being sleep deprived, malnourished, and having a near-death experience and not being back in my body, I rocked that sucker. And then after that, we got to run equivalent to almost a marathon barefoot over a volcano in bare feet with volcanic rock. And then come back and break a bunch of steel and stone and poured cement bricks. Definitely no joke. With Merpati Putih, tough times make tough people, and tough martial arts make tough people. That's But you know, I don't teach the martial art anymore. I've moved into the complete peaceful spiritual path. I've kicked enough people in the head. I've broken enough steel bars. I break steel bars once in a while just to show it can be done, and because it's kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, I'm still able to focus my energy that way. Right. It's also just a little test here and there. But when it comes down to it, I've known for a long time there is no death. It's just a change of address.
Right. Right.
It's just a shift of vibration and frequency into the unlimited. But I also understand we're all here for a reason. We all chose to be here, no matter your circumstance. You won the lottery. You're an average plumber. You chose it because your soul is here to learn, and you're here for a blink of an eye. But to our soul that's eternal, that was a great movie. Now, what am I going to watch next? Because there is no death. You can only understand that if you've actually experienced it, or, well, you all have. You all have many times, billions of times. Yeah. But when you actually have that in your life, you stop fearing it. And of course, you still have the human reaction, of course. If I see a spider, I'm not thrilled. I just don't like spiders much. Okay. I'm not afraid of them, but I just don't want them running over my feet. They do freak out a little bit, even though I know that, okay, well, it's not going to kill me. And if it did, okay, that's not the end. I just don't.
Well, I mean, there's mistakes in creation, so that's just a truth, you know? Yeah, we have to realize that. And I definitely agree with there is no death. And, you know, in a society, I truly believe that there is unnecessary suffering that shouldn't be in our experience. Yeah. But again, that's a whole other episode. But this being the fear of death is really what keeps so many humans down, so many feeling, you know, like they don't have the ability to be more, to do more, to desire to reach that full potential, or at least the process and continuation of it, right? So yeah, less fear about death would definitely change this world in many, many, many ways. I've had my own near-death experiences, but actually not in a physical way. I died in a dream fully. Mm-hmm. And it was the most unbelievable experience that I've ever had. And so those experiences can happen in dream time that is mimics in the physicality, which are just as powerful because they bring you into a moment of, you know, holy shit. When you get to feel and extend and pull yourself, you know, that plasmic energy as it pulls out of this physical matter. It's something that is hard to even describe. It's emotions that it's amazing. It's unbelievable sometimes, right?
It's freedom. It's freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like, you know, a lot of people don't know how sick they are until they get better.
That's it.
understand what real freedom is until you actually experience what it's like not to have this bulky, weighted, very confined, limited
Yeah,
body.
like frozen energy. I mean, it is frozen energy. That's, it's vibrating in a slower rate than the other bodies that we have. So that is the vibration aspect.
Yeah.
So do you want to give us an example today, or
Well,
what would you like to do?
well, let's see. How much time do we have?
We have a good, I don't know, 15 minutes or so left.
For sure. Okay, good. Okay, so what I'm going to have everybody do out there, I would love, if you're driving, you can do this, but keep your eyes on the road, please. If you are at home, I would recommend you get into a space where you can sit quietly or even lay down. What we're going to do is we're going to do just a simple breath exercise called the perfect breath. Now, it's been shown that there is a perfect breath rhythm for the human body. And this has been actually used in mantras and different chants throughout religions for thousands of years. And we're just now starting to understand this. It's 5.5 seconds as an inhale, 5.5 seconds as an exhale, inhaling through your nose, exhaling out your mouth, inhaling fully, exhaling fully, all the way until you squeeze all your air out. It's a full breath, which a lot of people have never done before. So we're going to go ahead. First of all, I'm going to have everybody, we're going to take a little baseline on your breath retention, because the number one indicator of longevity is breath capacity. That's the number one thing. The number one thing that's been shown to lead to long life is lung capacity in large scale studies. So I'm going to have everybody just go ahead, and I'm going to pull out my phone. I'm going to time you. So go ahead, and I'm going to have you, okay, stopwatch. I'm going to have you inhale and hold your breath. Ready? Inhale, hold your breath. Relax. We're just going to take a baseline for how long you can hold your breath pretty comfortably. Okay. We're at 10 seconds. Hopefully you're good at 10 seconds. Around 30 seconds, I'll start going 30, 40, 50 when we get there. There's 30. Now just notice when you exhale. There's no right, there's no wrong, just notice. 40. 45. 50. I'm going to stop at 1 minute and 20 seconds. 55. 1 minute. 105. Almost there. 110. 115. And there's 120. Now you can go ahead and exhale. Just notice how you feel. Notice the oxygen debt that you felt at that point, okay, at 1 minute and 20 seconds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to simply close our eyes. We're going to slowly breathe in through our nose fully, out through our nose fully. This is not the Merpati Putih breath work. That is hypoxic breath holding, maximum tension, requires a lot of focus, and it's infinitely more powerful than this. But this is something that you can do, and you can even get this on my YouTube channel for free and just do it every single day. This is the perfect breath rhythm. Okay, so I'm going to have you close your eyes, and we're going to listen to these cello tones as you start to inhale slowly and exhale out your mouth. Inhale from the bottom, let your stomach extend as it rises up in your chest. Exhale all the way out until you have nothing left, and squeeze a little more. Inhale. Exhale and relax your body more. Inhale. Slowly all the way in. Exhale all the way out. in. We have 1 more minute to go. All the way out. Exhale everything all the way out until you're empty. Inhale. Fully exhale. Fully. Exhale all the way out. Good. Now inhale all the way in. Hold your breath and relax your body. Let your shoulders relax. Notice what you feel, the energy, the blood flowing through your body as you relax deeper and you hold your breath. Offering gratitude to your body for this amazing ability to be in control. We're now at 30 seconds. And we're at 40 seconds. 50 seconds. 55. 1 minute. We're going to keep going for a little bit. 105. 110. 10 seconds left. Just notice how you're feeling right now. 115. And 120. We'll go ahead and stop there. Just noticing how you feel as you bring yourself back. So we only did that for 2 minutes. Usually when I do this, say in a webinar, which I hold those, I'm going to start holding those every Wednesday night. Everybody's welcome to come. And I do this for 5 minutes, this perfect breath for 5 minutes. People between anywhere from double to 5x their breath holding time. How was that for you, Natalie? Did you notice it was a little bit easier to hold it longer?
A lot easier, like twice as long.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was after 2 minutes of doing this. So everybody go to my YouTube channel, Integrated Ascension Method. I've got a DMT breathing plus the perfect breath rhythm meditation right there for you for free. Please subscribe, follow all the good stuff because I'm releasing all kinds of new content all the time. But when we do this, this is an important thing that I think everybody can agree that we're in a chronic state of stress all the time. Our adrenal glands are always on blast and they are so fatigued all the time.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is if, just like Joe Dispenza says, if you have the ability to make yourself sick with the hormones of stress, you have the ability to make yourself healthy through the hormones of health. This helps us do that very quickly. And like I said, the number one factor in longevity has been shown to be lung capacity. But other breath work methods like Wim Hof, holotropic, they don't increase your lung capacity at all. Because lung capacity is determined based upon not how much you can inhale, but how much you can exhale. And they don't really focus on that. Integrated Ascension Method, I focus on that very deeply because since we're having experience, it's ongoing and it doesn't stop. I want everybody to have the longest, not just health span, but fun span possible. And that means being healthy for as long as we can and enjoying this experience and this life that we came here to do. So please go do that. And I've got all kinds of neat goodies for you today.
Yeah, actually, we'll be sharing some links and such in this show, and we'll do an entire write-up sharing this whole method that you've created, because this is really combining a lot of different practices that you've taken in over your lifespan. So that's what makes it not just about this Merpati Putih, but more about this integration of things that you've developed.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. And I love this because, in my work doing sacred soul healing or vibration medicine, this truly is, breath work is part of the expansion for people to hone in on as well. So I'm excited to be able to fold your work into just referring people out, because there's so many different ways and there's so many different modalities, right? But what is going to bring the breath of life, the breath of God's source, the breath of the divine magic that we hold into your body in a powerful way to then be utilized in healing? That's really, what I'm looking to bring into people's awareness in their field. So, through all of your winding and weaving journey of which you've taken this method, thank you for bringing it. And obviously I know that others in your past are unfolding and doing it in their own unique way. But, this is part of the unique magic that everyone's bringing a different way to bring this into people's lives. So.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And like Ram Dass said, we're all kids walking each other home. But beyond that, I think we're all the same being walking each other home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That is the law of one, right?
Exactly.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us today. And please share how people can connect with you right now if they don't have the opportunity to read all the things quite yet.
That's great. So I have what I think is one of the sexiest websites you could ever ask for like energy work or spirituality, breath work, because it's true. Everybody can remember this because it's true about you too. My website is iampure.energy. So
yeah, that is great.
Not .com. iampure.energy. Now, when you go there, right on my homepage, you'll have the opportunity to get a free class. Now, I highly recommend that you don't stop there, though, because in my courses page, I have 2 amazing courses. One is my masterclass. The other one is my LEAP, or my Life Force Energy Ascension Protocol class, which is the basic training of the Merpati Putih hypoxic breathwork that will level up every spiritual thing that you do, but also help you feel like $1 million and change on a physical level, and increases your lung capacity. There's so many benefits. You can read about it. But when you buy one of my programs, please use the coupon code Natalie10 and you'll get 10% off. And it doesn't matter if you are a Navy SEAL, a triathlete, a professional free diver, if you're a soccer mom, if you're a student, or if you have COPD or long COVID or asthma, you're going to be breathing anyway. You might as well be doing it in a way that's healthy and healing for you and doesn't hurt you. And this method will help any of your other breathwork practices go through the roof as well. I like to call this the ultimate cross trainer, because it won't conflict with anything you do, and it will simply level up everything that you do. So by all means, please check out the courses. Natalie10 is the way you get a discount. And it's been an honor, a pleasure to be here with all of you. And I like to say this as my closing remark: have a great now on purpose.
Love it. Thank you, Nate. And thank you, everyone. And I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Disrupt Now podcast. Please leave us a review. Also, if you want to get these episodes to your inbox, go to disruptnowpodcast.com and you can drop your email in. You can also see all of the episodes since day 1. If you'd like to connect, we have a couple of different ways. You can join us on Telegram. The group is called Awakening Magick. Or if you want to drop a line, email us at info@natalieviglione.com. Thank you for being here on this journey to awaken the magic again.